Shaq Griffin's a corner for the Seahawks, and it's really very encouraging to see young guys like him because we talk all the time, I do at least, about how the Seahawks need to eventually move on from guys like Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, and start investing in their young talent and get a better offensive line. Because you can't have everything you want. You can't have a great offensive line and a great defense and great receivers and a great quarterback. There's a salary cap for a reason. You have to pick and choose your battles, and I think it's getting closer to time where we need to stop paying money to guys like Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas because they're getting old. And I always argue that the Patriots would trade them. The Patriots would get what they could for them and get rid of them. And the Patriots are the best run franchise in the NFL. If you're going to emulate anybody, emulate the New England Patriots. But the big news was not that Shaq Griffin played great. The big news was that Richard Sherman got hurt. I love Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, he's one of those foundational players in the NFL who every time he opens his mouth, he's always interesting, he's always fun, he's always kind of... Russell Wilson's bland. Russell Wilson always gives very good PR answers. Richard Sherman is known for being honest and real and authentic, and I love, I don't love listening to Russell Wilson talk, but I can acknowledge he's great. Richard Sherman, I always love hearing him talk. Because again, he's honest and authentic and real. But last night, Richard Sherman got hurt. A big thing for the Seahawks because they struggle without Richard Sherman. Whenever one of the guys, whether it's Cam Chancellor or Earl Thomas or Richard Sherman, whenever one of those guys isn't playing for them, it's a concern. They don't play as well. But here we have a chance to see how do the Seahawks do without Richard Sherman. Because I've said before, they need to trade Richard Sherman. He's getting up there. Get some value for him. Get a draft pick or get some offensive lineman who can help you. Because defense is awesome. You need defense to win games. But Russell Wilson is the most important part of that franchise, not Richard Sherman. He's a great teammate, great guy. But we get a chance to finally see what can the Seahawks do without Richard Sherman. And my argument would be this. And thank God we didn't have to trade Jeremy Lane, by the way. I'll get to my argument in a minute. We almost lost Jeremy Lane, the backup corner, to the Texans in that trade. And then Jeremy Lane failed a physical and got sent back from Houston to Seattle. And then we see him last night playing on Thursday Night Football doing well. It's like, wow. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we didn't lose him in that trade. Because now we need him. Now the Seahawks need Jeremy Lane. Without Jeremy Lane, the Seahawks would really struggle without Richard Sherman. But now, without Richard Sherman, they might be okay. And this will be a big test. Because I would argue that if the Seahawks are okay without Richard Sherman, if they win a Super Bowl, if they make a deep run into the playoffs, and they play well on defense and don't need him, trade him. Get rid of him. He's an older guy with a big contract, and you can get value for him, and you should get value for him before it is too late. I love Richard Sherman. I think he's a great player. It's not personal. But what are the Seahawks, or what are the Patriots known for? What do the Boston Celtics do? They made a cold, non-emotional trade and traded Isaiah Thomas to the Cavaliers. That is what we need to do. We cannot be gripped with emotion and not do what's best for our franchise. And I think it's possible what's best for the Seahawks franchise is to get something for Richard Sherman. Trade him away. Get some offensive linemen. Get someone who can help you. And I'm really excited to see, will the Seahawks be okay? Can they survive without Richard Sherman? Can they thrive without Richard Sherman? Will their defense be good or not? That is very interesting to me. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing over the next couple weeks and the rest of this season. How does the Seahawks defense do without Richard Sherman? And if they do well, I would actually trade and move on from Richard Sherman.